that is starting this month, phase 1, the month of June, all homeowners will receive a PDI package via email from our customer service department. And PDI is the acronym for pre-delivery inspection. And this package that is sent to you in the post will include a pre-delivery date for you to attend site, walk your unit with our customer service department. It will also outline what to expect when you join our team on site to review your unit for your PDI. It would include all relevant Tarion warranty information that's applicable to you and your unit. If in the event that you cannot attend your PDI with our team, the package will include a designate form by which you would complete that, send it back to our customer service team, advising them who you have nominated to complete the PDI on your behalf. In addition, one thing that is key to note, as of this month, we are accepting assignment applications, and we'll talk to that in more detail as we go through this presentation. That takes us on to the second phase leading up to occupancy. So once you've received your PDI package from customer service per phase 1, it will capture the day whereby you will join us on site with the customer service team to walk your unit. This is where you have the opportunity under the requirements of Tarion to do the inspection of your suite, identify any discrepancies regarding, say, paint scuffs or some scratches on the floor, for example, that can be addressed and noted with our customer service team. Once you've completed your PDI inspection with our customer service team, you will receive what is called a Certificate of Completion and Possession, otherwise known as your CCP, and also your report from the inspection will be provided to you on that same day. Please keep hold of the Certificate of Completion and Possession. This is an important document that will be required to assist you with your closing. The third phase is regarding your actual occupancy. So over the last 2 weeks, you would have received a letter which confirms your firm occupancy date that is specific to you and your unit, and that confirms the exact date you would take occupancy of your unit. Through this letter and through these upcoming months, you will have to have engaged a solicitor, and you would have to have provided their details with us. And our solicitors will communicate directly with your solicitors, confirming all the requirements that are needed for your occupancy to take place. This will include the requirements where you need to provide your insurance for the unit. You need to provide evidence that you have subscribed for your utility billing. It will also capture the remaining deposit that is due upon occupancy. And it will also outline the amount you need to provide for your interim occupancy fees by way of providing post-dated checks. Lastly, if you've procured, as part of your acquisition, your purchase of the building, if you've bought a parking unit or a locker unit, then those numbers will also be captured on the interim statement of adjustment that is provided to your solicitor prior to you taking occupancy. For those that do not know, the interim statement of adjustments will capture all the forecasted costs that are required for you to complete occupancy. And the fourth phase is when you can actually move in. So once you've completed your occupancy process and our solicitors have confirmed that you provided all the relevant documentation and payments to authorize you to take occupancy, we will release your keys to you. You will pick these up in person, and you will pick them up from the customer service team in the same location that you will meet them for your PDI. That location will be outlined in your pre-delivery inspection package that I made reference to in the first phase. Separately, you will also receive a home care guide and a welcome package upon moving into your unit. This home care guide will talk about the features and finishes within the unit and how to maintain and care for them moving forward. In addition to these packages, you'll receive a separate package from the property management company, First Service, directly sent to you, and it will outline some key details in terms of how you move into the unit. It will talk about how to book the elevator for your move-in date, and also talk more about how you register the tenant and the owner's information specific to your unit. Once you take occupancy of unit, there will be ongoing customer service and warranty repairs under the Tarion guidelines, and that will be outlined in the documentation you receive in the phase 1 package, the PDI package. And throughout this process, you will be able to contact our customer care team, and they're a great team and they'll look after you. And currently we have Tamara, Mark, and Bonnie, who are our customer care team. And all their information will be included in the PDI package that will be sent to you this month, so you have the ability to coordinate and reach out to them. The contact details here, as noted, will also be in that package. And just for those that are maybe screen grabbing or trying to jot these details down in a hurry, there is no need for you to do that. We will be circulating this slide following this webinar tomorrow, so you'll have all the pertinent information then. Okay, so just in terms of a checklist prior to you taking occupancy so that things are smooth and efficient moving forward, if you have not done so to date, you need to provide us with your solicitor's information. And that needs to be sent to the email address noted here, thedesigndistrict@emblemdevcorp.com. And this is required 60 to 90 days prior to occupancy. So given that we're talking about occupancy taking place in September, you need to submit that to us now if you have not done so. And that needs to include the solicitor's name, address, phone number, fax, and email address. A requisite for occupancy will be that you need to provide a mortgage pre-approval or a commitment letter prior to being eligible to take occupancy. These can be sent to our sales team at thedesigndistrict@emblemdevcorp.com. As a reminder, you will have to pay your upcoming occupancy deposit, the remaining deposit, which is outlined in your APS, Agreement of Purchase and Sale, and 12 post-dated checks. You will have to have insurance in place, and you'll have to complete your utility sub-metering forms. These forms will be provided from our solicitor to your solicitor, and they should then provide them to you for execution. I would recommend that you touch base with your solicitor well in advance to make sure that everything is in order to not delay occupancy. In terms of who to make the post-dated checks out to, that will be captured in the subsequent document we send out that accompanies this webinar tomorrow. Lastly, and this is a very important matter that I need you to pay attention to, please. If you are intending to lease your unit, you can only do so if you have requested it from us and received approval by the developer. You need to provide correspondence, including these documents that are listed here, and you need to send them to us with all of them completed, along with your tenant's IDs, and you need to allow us 5 working days to review and provide approval. These forms will be circulated to you via a separate email that will clearly outline specific requirements to lease your unit, and we will attach each form, albeit apart from the Ontario lease agreement, which can be found online. It's really important that this is taken into consideration. You can only enter into a month-to-month lease during interim occupancy stage. And what I mean by that is the period whereby you take occupancy, but you have not yet closed and received your title transfer. So all leases during that period must be month-to-month. At the point of you closing and title transfer has been completed, you can then convert your lease into a 1-year lease agreement. As I said, more details on this will be circulated via an email after this webinar. As a recap, in terms of a timeline, PDIs, you'll be notified this month of your upcoming PDI date, which are starting on June 29th, running through to July 2 of this year. Occupancy is commencing on September 14th, 2026. To be clear, that does not mean that you are specifically taking occupancy on the 14th of September. We can only accommodate so many occupancies per day, and this is spread out between the months of September, October, November, and early December. The date that you are taking occupancy has been confirmed in the firm occupancy notice that has been sent to you via email in the last couple of weeks. We are also in the process of sending out hard copies in the post as well. Now, after occupancy, we are forecasting a closing for January of next year. We will give you more than sufficient information, notice for you to get your financing in place with a target of a minimum of 45 to 60 days. Now, with that said, I'd like to hand over to the RBC team, and I'll pass this on to Erica, who can introduce the program and her team.
Thank you, Alistair. We appreciate being included today And it's nice to be a part of to be collaborating with the design district and to work with you on closing this project. We're very excited. As Alistair mentioned, my name is Erica. So I'm just going to first of all introduce the RBC team to you today. So we're joined today by two RBC mortgage specialists local to the area, James Buckland and Vanya Missick. They're going to kind of walk you through today our program and how we're able to assist you and how we're able to ensure that you're able to close on your purchase. Similar to what Alistair said, their contact information is on this page here. No need to screenshot and or try to screen grab that because this information will be shared with you. And please do reach out to either one of them. They're excellent and we're here to help you. So with that, I'll turn it over to them and let them go over our program with you.
Thank you, Erica. So my name is Vanya, and you're going to get a chance to meet my colleague James very shortly. But one of the things that we really want to make sure that you understand that we're here to help you. We're both experienced in mortgage industry. We worked with a number of builders. We worked with EMBLEM in the past as well. And throughout the whole home buying journey, we're really going to focus on that customized advice and specializing in the lending programs for you. One of the things that at the time of the appraisal, we have completed what's called like a mass evaluation, a blanket assessment of design district. And at the time of the application, we will go through that property appraisal with you one-on-one. One of the benefits that we have here at RBC is that we can hold the approval for up to 12 months and we can also cap the rate. And what that really means is that we can hold the rate for what it is, the builder rate today for extended period of time for you, making sure that no matter what happens in the market, your rates are not going to be going up. However, as we get closer to the closing, we revisit that and make sure that we are very competitive with the rates. So rest assured, that's one of the big questions we do have. We're going to make sure that you're well taken care of and that we're competitive in that space as well. Because that is important given that the closing is going to be further than 120 days rates. Builder rates and retail rates made different at the time of the closing. I wanted to take a moment and introduce you to my colleague, James, who's going to take you to next set of information.
Perfect. Thank you, Vanya. Good evening, everybody. One of the things that we also want to make sure that you're aware of that differentiates ourselves from other clients is we have what we call a firm approval. That's very important when you're looking at a builder deal. What that essentially means is you can get approved for up to 12 months, just like Vanya said, and not have to worry about getting financing closer to maturity at the end of your possession date. A lot of times what may happen is you might buy the property, put a deposit down, and throughout the period of completion, there could be a change in your life, job change, income change, marital status. Your firm approval will shield you from any other reassessment on your application. Not too many banks do that. Most clients tend to come to the bank maybe 30 or 60 days before closing. And if you can avoid it and get approved as soon as possible, it's just great peace of mind to have, not having to worry about completion. And with Alistair's date of completion being January, and our commitment to go to a 6 or 12-month period, that firm approval can start now and have that locked in. So it's a really great asset that we have, and it's a big differentiator that we can pride ourselves on against other banks. I will point you down to the bottom quadrant there in terms of protecting you and your family. So just one thing to also keep in mind is that we offer what we call home protector coverage. And what that means is you can look at any life impact events that may happen. So in the event that there's a loss of life for one of the applicants, or there's a disability or an injury for one of the applicants, even now during the time of construction, so completion, you're complimentary covered with that coverage. So in other words, if something did happen between now and January 2027 and you apply for that coverage, you're covered and your mortgage is essentially paid for, depending on the size, for the whole property. So it's a really good feature that we have too. Again, really good conversation started for us to have with myself or Vanya. So we'll definitely want to keep that in mind. But yeah, honestly, I think when you look at the protection options and the firm approvals, what a great way to secure your financing early on before we come to a full completion. So really great stuff that we'd love to help every one of you on when the time comes. So one of the things that RBC has a differentiator on too, as well as we have specialty programs. Every single client is going to be different when it comes to what they buy. Some of our clients are self-employed and have their own businesses. We have a self-employed program for people that have their own businesses. And a lot of times with those self-employed programs, the applicant isn't claiming all their income on their taxes. So if they're in a self-employed incorporated company, there are ways we can look at increasing their income on paper based on how much their business actually operates. So it's a really great feature to have when you are looking for a tax strategy and not having to claim as much income on your taxes. For our newcomers to Canada, as long as you have a permanent residency application started, you could be eligible to apply for a mortgage in Canada, as long as you show proof of permanent residency or application to start permanent residency. And many of our clients that are buying these properties are not first-time buyers. They're actually investors. So they might be looking at their second or third property. We're proud to say that RBC does recognize that, and we can help clients that have investments up to 6 properties in terms of the application. So if you're already at 3 or 4, this is your 5th, there's an opportunity for us to consider having this as a mortgage underneath RBC's books too as well. Vanya, I'll turn it over to you to talk about the 3 bottom programs.
Perfect. Thank you for that. In addition to the first initial 3 programs we talked about, we also recognize that there are some clients that, as an example, may have accumulated significant wealth, but perhaps are not taking such a large income. So first thing that comes to mind is some clients that are retired and are drawing smaller income because perhaps their expenses are not as high. We have programs for those clients that their approvals can be supported by the wealth they've accumulated versus necessarily the income, which we traditionally gauge the availability for the mortgage for clients. So that is something that's really catered to those clients as well, and we can certainly help with that. I'll venture to say that RBC has one of the top programs out there for those particular clients. The next one, and near and dear to my heart, is our first-time home buyers. You know, when you're purchasing a home for the first time, we have all the resources and tools to help you through the process to make sure that you're properly guided and that we have everything at your disposal to get you in that home and make you feel really comfortable with understanding what the expenses are going to look like and what it's going to look like moving forward for you. And last but not least is our alternate mortgage specialist solutions. So on top of the fact that we have all these great programs with RBC, we do recognize that sometimes we may not be able to support every single client in that moment. So one of the strategies that RBC has, we work with alternate mortgage specialists. So we have a handful of lenders that work directly with RBC to help clients put them in a better position. Perhaps there's an opportunity to consolidate, to help your cash flow, help improve credit, whatever the case may be, to get you on the path where we can then continue to help you. So in those particular situations, we have alternate mortgage specialists that can help get you there. And then eventually we can help and bring you to RBC. Awesome. And continuing on this, what an exciting time for you. I know this September is going to be around the corner really quickly. Time just flies. So one of the things I just want to make sure that you're thinking about, and you know this, is that make sure your mortgage financing is in order. Come and see James and I. We're more than happy to help you. We'll go through all of your information. We'll help explain the process. We'll try to make it as seamless as possible. But the sooner you get the mortgage approval, the better it's going to be. Like I said, September is just around the corner, and then that's the occupancy, and then the closing in January. With the program that we have, we can offer a firm approval now and hold it up to 12 months. And I know one of the things as you go through approval, we do offer 6 months post occupancy. We will hold the rate. But again, with EMBLEM program, as one of our VIP builders, we can go up to 12 months and hold that approval for you. I'll turn it over to James to tell you a little bit more about the rest of the lawyer information.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, always important to make sure that you notify your lawyer of your upcoming occupancy date. Occupancy dates obviously are important for the lawyer because there's an anticipated time when you will get full possession. So it's good that they have that information in an early state. And then one of the important things that a lot of people sometimes miss, which we can also have conversations with you on, are your closing costs. Generally speaking, the closing costs can range anywhere from 1.5% to 3% of the purchase price. These things include your land transfer tax. This can include anything pertaining towards legal fees. And then you also want to have a little bit of a buffer for your own personal needs. It could be moving costs and just other ancillary costs that come up when it comes to purchasing a home. Always good to have a review with that for us too as well. is just as much as important as the mortgage approval is. You need to make sure you have closing costs available to pay your lawyer on the day of closing.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much, James and Vanya and Erica. Appreciate your time to explain the program. As Erica explained earlier on at the beginning of the introduction to the RBC program, the details captured in this webinar will be circulated. So at that point, you will have the contact information for James and Vanya and all the information on this slide deck. Now, with that said, we are now going to address some frequently asked questions that have been sent in from purchasers that hopefully give some more clarity over the coming months in terms of what to expect. The first one is, do I need to provide a mortgage commitment letter? Now, you are required to provide a mortgage pre-approval or an updated mortgage commitment letter from a Schedule 1 bank in Canada or a credit union. And this needs to be provided to us at the email address noted here, the design district at emblemdevcorp.com. And most definitely a mortgage pre-approval at minimum will be required in order for you to take occupancy. In addition to this webinar, when I circulate these slides out from our team, we'll also provide a very detailed checklist that gives a lot more substantial information in terms of the details for occupancy, and that will also talk more to the requirement for a mortgage commitment letter or a mortgage pre-approval letter. In the event that you are not proceeding with a lender and you are paying with cash, the question is, what do I need to do to provide evidence of funds prior to occupancy? If you are paying with cash, then you must provide proof of funds, and this needs to be a letter from a bank and a stamped bank statement showing that the full amount owing at closing is within that account. Are assignments allowed for units at the design district? Yes, assignments are allowed. We have started accepting assignment requests. However, it's very important that you do not list the unit for sale on MLS or any social media. If you are captured in this process, you'll be notified promptly to remove the listing. In the event that you have secured an assignment otherwise, the assignment details need to be communicated to our lawyers, and this information has been circulated via a separate email to all purchasers, and more details to this will also be captured in a detailed checklist document we'll be circulating tomorrow. If the buyer assigns the unit at the design district, do the original incentives transfer to the new owner? Most incentives will be transferred. There are some exceptions, so I recommend that if you are concerned or have any queries in regards to this, that you reach out to our sales team via the email address noted. Can agents list the design district for lease on MLS? This is clearly distinguished for lease. This is permitted for lease prior to occupancy, but you still need to receive approval from EMBLEM to do so, and you can request via the email address, the design district at emblemdevcorp.com. However, the showings to any potential tenants can only take place after occupancy and once keys have been released. Next question, can agents list the design district unit for sale on MLS? No, under no circumstances can your unit be listed for sale until you have closed and there has been land transfer completed. That will be taking place in January of next year. In the event that you need a lockbox placed at the building, there will be dedicated lockbox areas. This is for you to accommodate showings with your leasing agent. We have not concluded the exact location, and more details will be communicated closer to occupancy later in the process. There is still an opportunity to purchase parking and or lockers if there is interest to do so. There are a limited supply, so if you do have an interest to purchase a parking stall or a locker, please reach out at your very earliest to coordinate with our sales team. This is important to conclude prior to occupancy because this will then be captured as an amendment to your APS and therefore be reflected in the statement of adjustments prior to occupancy. When do purchasers have to apply for a mortgage? So we strongly encourage that purchasers begin speaking with their lenders immediately regarding a mortgage pre-approval or a commitment letter, which is required prior to taking occupancy. Now, once you've taken occupancy at a later date, once we have registered the building and we're aware of our closing date, you will be notified that we are closing, and you'll be given a date where you will be completing the land transfer date. At that point, you need to contact your lender immediately. because it can take a lengthy period of time to finalize your commitment from the lender, unless, of course, you approached RBC as discussed by the team and you already had your commitment letter in place. Is the Enhanced HST program applicable to this program? We highly recommend that if you have any concerns or queries regarding the HST, that you discuss this directly with your lawyer. How much are closing costs? So closing costs are confirmed on your statement of adjustment that will be issued from our solicitor to your solicitor, and this is usually released a couple of weeks prior to closing. However, in your APS declaration disclosure, there is details outlining the forecasted closing costs to be accounted for. Will I be taking possession of my property on the closing date? So there's two processes. At the point of taking occupancy, you'll receive the keys and you'll be entitled to move into the unit upon providing your post-dated checks for interim occupancy fees and all the other corresponding documents I mentioned earlier on in the presentation. Or, if you're inclined to do so, you could lease your unit at that point too, subject to having approval from EMBLEM. You will not take ownership of the unit until your closing date at the completion of title transfer. Occupancy fees will be captured in your statement of adjustment. That's the document I made reference to that outlines the costs that will be sent from our solicitors directly to your solicitor. This fee is directly impacted by the bank rate, so will not be concluded until closer to occupancy. Do you anticipate meeting the occupancy date that purchases have been provided? As I said earlier on, all firm occupancy notices have now been sent to you. They are separate from each unit and they are commencing as of September 14th. That is our firm commitment for you to take occupancy. How do purchasers know what their interior color selection is? So at the time of you purchasing the unit and executing your agreement of purchase and sale, you would have signed a color selection amendment as part of your agreement of purchase and sale, and that outlines whether you chose the dark palette or the light palette. So as a final checklist recap, there's 5 comments I'm going to make here. First and foremost is to provide your lawyer's information if you have not done so to date. You need to secure your mortgage pre-approval early or your commitment letter via RBC, and I highly recommend that you reach out to RBC to discuss their offering in greater detail. You need to account for the remaining deposit and the occupancy documentation that I made reference to in this webinar. In addition, like I said, this will be outlined in further detail in the corresponding documents we send out tomorrow. You need to coordinate insurance for your unit, and you also need to complete the utility registration forms, the sub-metering. These will be provided to you via your solicitor. And if you intend on leasing your unit, it is very important that you communicate with the EMBLEM team as soon as possible and you receive approval. If you do not receive approval and your tenant arrives at the building to move in and there is no approval in place, the tenant will be turned away. So I highly recommend that you take this seriously and you act upon this swiftly. And that's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for your time. These are the contact details that I made reference to, and our sales team is here to assist with your inquiries, subject to it being a sales-related matter, and the opening hours are noted here for our sales office. As discussed, this will be circulated to everyone that has attended and all other purchasers as well, along with more detailed information to accompany this document. I wish you all a very nice evening, and thank you very much for joining.